Hello everyone, and welcome to week 3 of the CRL5 season. We have some exciting matchups for you guys today. Connor and Armin will be on bye though, so only 11 matchups as opposed to the usual 12 for this normal week. So we're going to kick things off with Brendan Monahan versus Landon Rose. Landon has a 2-0 record, hoping to go 3-0, and Brendan is at 1-1 after a great victory over Isaac in the second week. So we're going to start off with Scoville versus Laser here. Landon's in lane 2, Brendan's in lane 4. Scoville used to be on Drew's team, and Laser used to be on Braden's. So Scoville is going to just get a little bit faster than Laser there. So Landon is going to score the first point here. Next up, we have Shark versus Spider. Spider previously raced for Mike. It was pretty good, and as you can tell, pretty fast there. He's going to earn Brendan a point, tying it up. So, all tied up here. And now it's time for Cocoa Puffs versus Torpedo. Both these cars were pretty undetermined what they would do. Obviously, Cocoa Puffs is going to earn Landon a second point here, and 1 point closer to getting the win here. But, he was unproven. And then we have Induction versus Brian here. Brian raced for, I think, Braden last season. Induction race for Connor, and that's going to score Landon the last point he needs, and Landon's going to get a win. He's going to go 3-0 on the season. That's I think Landon's best start since CRL2. So, good for him. He's going to get this win. He's going to go off to face his division. So, next up is going to be Caleb versus Colin, a divisional matchup here. Caleb is currently 0-2 against all members of his division. So Tokyo versus Surge here. Tokyo's been struggling as a reason. He's been facing some real heavy hitters in the first half of the season here, and Surge is no exception. Colin's going to get that point, and Surge is going to score for him. So Colin's up 1-0. This is how a lot of these matchups start. It's going to be Burgermobile versus Mantis here. Let's see how Burgermobile can do. He does pretty well. Won by a sizable amount there. So, good for Burgermobile, and Caleb's going to tie it up here. So next up is Black Hole versus Sunny. Sunny used to race for Lane way back in the day, but Black Hole's just going to be faster. This is a new addition. He risked it on and worked out. Speaking of new cars, CRL will be adapting a new Dynasty rule. More on that later. Framework versus Eagle, and Framework is going to get Caleb his first win of the season. So, like I stated, this Dynasty rule is going to allow teams to keep up to 2 of their cars going into the next season. So, they're going to be able to keep their identity a little bit, as opposed to the last 2 seasons where we did a full redraft. So, that'll be pretty exciting. So, Parker versus Kean. It'll allow teams to keep their good cars and build off their teams. More of a dynasty going into these last few seasons. True Blue is going to score against Whiskers here. If I was Parker, I'd want to hold on to True Blue then, because True Blue is nothing to be laughed at. He is a great car. So good for him. Fizz versus Minecraft Steve. Steve, I feel like you want to hold on to Steve. He is a real gem. It's kind of the same thing with Burgermobile last year. You always get one of those cars that is clunky but really fast and just insanely easy to root for, But we're going to have Lucid versus Lowrider here. Lucid's just barely going to beat Lowrider, but Parker's going to score a second point. And this might be another 3-1 victory for one of these teams. Parker's currently 1-1, and Kean is 0-2. And Kean's going to go 0-3. Parker's going to go 2-1. And he's going to be tied with Connor for the division, technically. I think Connor technically has the division because he doesn't have a loss yet because he's on his bye. But, it'll all be settled by the last week, so it doesn't really matter. So, Abby versus Peyton. This feels like a matchup we see all the time, and somehow, they teamed up last season in, I believe, week 9 for the All-Star game. Beetle versus Submersible here, their first-round picks. Beetle is just going to barely beat Submersible to score the first point of this matchup here. But, I mean, Abby and Peyton teamed up, and I think they also faced off against each other last season. Abby went to the playoffs. Peyton missed. Lakitu versus Converse, former teammates here on this Peyton team last season, but Lakitu is going to drive it home. Just barely beating Converse there. But, I mean, Peyton's hoping to make a push this season. Obviously, this isn't a very good look for him, but Mike Wazowski versus Blue Bolt. And Blue Bolt's going to score Peyton a point here. This could be a driving force for a comeback for Peyton. Hopefully. At least I'm sure Peyton's hoping driving force for a comeback here. Mohawk versus Cyan. Let's see. Mohawk's just barely going to beat Cyan there. And Abby's going to get her second win. So she's now 2-1. I believe she's at the top of her division. Obviously, Emily, Grant, Brendan has already played, but Emily and Grant haven't. So we're going to see this right now, though. One of them are guaranteed a loss, though. So one of these teams, Grant is 0-2. Emily is 1-1. So if Grant wins, he goes 1-2, and then Emily also goes 1-2. Emily wins, she goes 2-1, and Grant goes 0-3. Be Grant's worst start to a season ever since CRL2. Emily's going to score the first point, though, with Rosalina. And we're going to Bubble versus Sushi here. Sushi ended Alex's night last week and is going to put Emily one step closer to beating Grant with Sushi beating Bubble there. All right, Nickel versus Creeper. Nickel lost to a similar shaped car first week, but he's not gonna give up this time. So Grant's gonna get a point back, but if it's anything like these last matchups, Emily might just score right off here. But this is the first time we're seeing Grant's later roster. I mean, Diddy Kong, it's a pretty interesting addition. I'm surprised he was able to get him so late, but that's gonna score a point for Grant here. And I feel like this is the most recent 3-2 game we've seen in a while. We're gonna see Koopa Troopa versus Rapido, and Rapido falls. Oh my gosh. Koopa Troopa is going to get the win because Rapido derailed and wasn't able to get there in time. That is rough. So Grant is going to get his first win on the season. Both teams are going to go 1-2. So next up is going to be Alex versus Benrop. Alex is hoping to blow off some steam after that frustrating loss to Emily last week versus this Benrop team. Alex is going to score first with a Han Solo over Rex victory. So first point is going to go to Alex. Next up is going to be Brachio versus Waluigi. Two very fast cars were the second car, and Waluigi almost had it there, but Brachio pulled ahead in the very last millisecond, and Brachio is going to score that. So next up is going to be King Boo versus Paragraph. King Boo had a very disappointing end to his week last week, but he is going to redeem himself with a victory for Alex. So a 3-0 sweep for Alex. Sorry, Ben, but Ben's going to go 1-2. Alex is going to go 2-1. And right now he's on top of his, I guess he's not on. He's tied for the division right now with Ashlyn. So Tomzio versus Drew. Ace is going to go up against Cosmic Coop. These cars were former teammates on Drew's team last season. I'm very surprised Drew was not able to win the championship last season. But Ace is going to score first for Tomzio, and that is going to suck for Cosmic Coop, but hey, it is what it is. Falcon versus Bottleneck. Drew picked up Bottleneck a few seasons ago. I forget what, I think it was CRL 3 is when he had Bottleneck. But didn't go too well. Drew went 8-8 that season, his worst record. Still made the playoffs, though, after beating Luke in week 16.5. But Luke Jr. is going to nail it in, and Tomzio is going to sweep Drew. Tomzio is going to go 3-0 as well. Him and Landon are two of the only teams in that club. I think we could see, we could see Luke getting that, and so can Micah and Ashlyn later today. So we got Luke versus Brayden. Brayden is a hopeless 0-2 right now, and Luke's team is ready to go. So Mr. Spice versus Iron, and it's not even a competition. Mr. Spice is going to score the first point for Luke, and things are already looking dreary for Braden here. So these teams are the polar opposite of each other right now. I mean, Luke's orange, Braden's blue. Ema wins, McLaren doesn't. Luke's 2-0, Braden's 0-2. Their records in this game right now are the same records as they are in CRL. Let's see, Aries versus Redline almost catches up, and now their records are fully updated. So Luke is going to go 3-0, and Braden's going to go 0-3, one of the only teams to go 0-3. I think Kean's 0-3. Could see Melissa go 0-3, so let's take a look here now. Melissa versus Blake. Melissa has yet to get a win despite her advantageous draft position. Obviously, it's her first season, but she's going to go up against Blake, who was 1-1. Got a win against Braden last week. Clockwork versus the Nuke. And Clockwork's going to get it, so Melissa's going to score her first point here with Clockwork. I mean, he's normally going to score you a point anyways, so... Poltergeist versus Drax. Drax is very similar to Vampira, in which Poltergeist is going to beat Drax, and Melissa is going to score another point. So, things are getting close. Luke's mom might be able to pull out her first win, as long as she doesn't choke this last one here. Pinstripe versus Banana, and it's not even a competition. Pinstripe is going to earn Luke's mom her first CRL win. Look at that. So, both teams are going to go 1-2. So yeah, I'm good for that. So next up is going to be Isaac versus Ben Cressman. But these teams are 1-1, I believe. Both won in week 1 and then lost in week 2. So they're both looking to get their get back here. Sullivan versus Black Yoshi. The full Yoshi squad's here today, and Black Yoshi's going to kick things off with a point for Ben Cressman. Alright. Next up is going to be Dragonfly versus Red Yoshi. Isaac has been counting on Dragonfly. It's been pretty good for Isaac so far. Pretty clutch. He fell off the track last week, but came back on. He's going to score a point for Isaac, tying things back up here. So, it's going to be a point for Isaac, and we are back to being tied. Isotope versus Green Regular Yoshi. Let's see what happens. Isotope is just a little bit faster, so Isaac's 1 point away from victory here, but I have a feeling Ben Cressman isn't done yet. The Yoshis don't stop coming. So Manta versus Blue Yoshi. Manta has been pretty fast, but Blue Yoshi is just faster. I mean, there's a reason why Lanham lost in 0-2. I wouldn't say it's because of Manta, but I'm not saying it wasn't. So this is a never-before-seen car for Isaac. Ready Freddy versus Mario, and he just destroys Mario. So, Ready Freddy was ready to Freddy. So Isaac's going to get that win. He's going to go 2-1, and Ben Cressman's going to go 1-2. So, all right, we have one last matchup here, and it's going to be a good one. Micah and Ashlyn. Micah's 2-0. Ashlyn's 2-0. One team's going to go 3-0. One team's going to go 2-1. Let's see who. Magnum versus Blanco here for this first point. Blanco goes up first, but Magnum's going to score, so that's going to be Micah's point. So let's see what Ashlyn's response is to that. Sahara versus Compact. Compact did pretty well for Grant, and Sahara did pretty well for Emily for both those divisional rivals, but Micah is going to score with Sahara. So sorry about that, Ashlyn, but Compact's not going to do it. Mock versus Velociraptor. Mock is a pretty good reliever for Caleb, and he's going to do good for Micah. I mean, I think Mock was kind of underappreciated last season, but he's been doing pretty good for Micah. So Micah's going to go 3-0, and Ashlyn's going to go 2-1. Still not bad. She's tied with Alex for her division. Let's take a look at our standings here right now. So Landon, Tomzio, Luke, and Micah are and Connor are our only undefeated teams left. Still 5 teams, though. So Landon and Tomzio are tied for that division. Abby's leading her division. Isaac's leading his division. Alex and Ashlyn are tied for the division. Connor and Parker technically tied for the division. And then Luke and Micah are tied for their division. So, there you have it. There's all of our stuff. Kian, Amin, and Braden still have yet to get a win. So, I mean, This has yet to be Braden's worst start yet, but could be if he loses one more week. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great night. See ya.